I have concerns that this project is pushing forward without even beginning to address the problem of the drainage along that third court.
Since the day Abu Development broke ground on their first project, the Citadel, the neighborhood suffers sewage spills in the street, and there has been over 30 documented cases of devastating floods with waters so high the garbage can spill and trash flows through the street, the mailman cannot deliver mail, home foundations are undermined, trees rot and fall, and the residents must park elsewhere and wade through high waters on the impassable roads to get to their home. Abu Development illegally cleared and elevated the proposed townhome lots to use as an entrance while building the storage units. This caused the backyards of the adjoining properties to flood beginning in May 2020. After citations, a wall was placed at the backyards of the adjoining residential properties, leaving the lot on Third Court open. However, both the city and the developer knew that a wall would be an ineffective solution, because a berm was first placed in the same location and the water from Delmas homes was going around the backyard berm and flooding out Northeast Third Court at the time of the city site visit 3 years ago. The health and safety of the residents of Northeast Third Court was not prioritized. No effort was made to prevent water from coming through the lot on Northeast Third Court. It was left open for the last 3 years despite devastating flood complaints. Once the storage was completed, a berm was finally placed across the lot on Third Court as a pretense that the developer was making an effort to do something, a few days before appearing at the Planning Commission to ask for a conditional use permit to build the townhome project.
We have installed in the last few days a berm across our area about 50 feet from Third Court on our property to reverse or stop any water flow that might be occurring today from our property and from Third Court into the residential community, the homes that are along Third Court. This is not something that we were required to do.
In regards to this property, there is a wall around the property. The wall was erected to stop any water from leaving the property. And so the only opening right now for that property to drain would be out to Third Court at the lot on Third.
We have installed in the last few days a berm across our area about 50 feet from Third Court on our property to reverse or stop any water flow that might be occurring today from our property and from Third Court into the residential community, the homes that are along Third Court.
Will be a drainage system will be put in. There isn't one today, but there'll be a drainage system installed. That drainage system requires that all the water from this property remain on this property. It's the law.
And the little berm he didn't put it during hurricane season. That's when we needed it.
When the rainy season started, water flooded the neighborhood through the berm at the lot on Northeast Third Court, continuing the unhealthy situation the annex residents have been forced to endure for the past 6 years. It is despicable that both the city and the developer continue to push forward projects. The city said that it hired a consultant who will have a design for a flooding solution by October 2023, but it will take 2 years to implement. A design does not stop flood waters. Garbage floated through the street from overturned trash cans, and the mailman could not deliver the mail. The road was impassable, and this vehicle had to be towed from Northeast Third Court on April 12, 2023. The developer stated at the conditional use permit hearing before the Planning Commission that he plans to use the same slots in front of the Delmas Homes properties as he did at the Citadel to prevent water from reaching Northeast Third Court. However, residents have been complaining for years that the Citadel facility continues to contribute to the flooding, and the slot grids are an ineffective solution for the entrance.
understand of the sensitivity, and we will put those drains in. That same drainage is at Citadel Plaza. There's a slot drain on the road that helps keep the water from going off the property into the road. That slot drain does work. Again, same principle would be applied here.
Long-term residents living in the area for up to 40 years have been annexed, charged 1.1 million above what would have been paid under the county, and forced to endure inhumane flooding by the city of North Miami and the developer Abu Development.
I bought my house right after the annex, but prior to Citadel and prior to this, and there was no flooding when I purchased my property.
Okay, so so prior, it is your testimony that prior to the Citadel, there was no flooding.
Yes.
Okay,
Listen, I've lived there for over 35 years. We didn't have this problem.
okay. And how long you've been living there?
20 years.
20 years. And prior to the Citadel, there was no flooding.
No.
Okay.
All right.
Staff, I believe I think Eileen stated that the flooding started in 2018, March of 2020. That's when they emptied the land and elevated. And from March of 2020 to November of 2020, they were being flooded, but the city had not addressed the issue. Is that correct?
I can't tell you what the city had done or not, because that's outside of what community planning and development would do. But they were, at least we were aware as staff of the complaints.
You were aware of the complaints?
Yes, I
Okay.
was told of the complaints by Public Works.
Okay, great. And to the applicant, this is not your first presentation, correct?
We were here on the tentative plat last June.
Okay, great. So when you came and brought forth your first presentation, you were aware that the residents who currently live there were complaining about the flooding.
Yes, we were aware of the issue and have been for
And I
several
believe
months.
I believe we denied that plat.
Because of the flooding,
We denied the plat. It went to the city commission.
and they approved it.
Okay?
Okay. So to staff, what has been the recommendation to deal with this situation
From whom, ma'am?
from the city? I mean, if these people are like you have at least 5, 6 families that are stating that prior, they've lived here some 10, 20 years, and prior to the Citadel, they did not have the problem. The minute it came in, the problem started. You have one person who stated that the flooding started since 2018. We're now in 2023. What has the city proposed to do?
Well, as far as I know at this point, again, this is outside of my realm, but from what I understand, the city council has now made this a priority to address that. They've started that study.
Northeast Third Court has been experiencing sewage spills from the new line installed to provide service to the Citadel development, particularly due to the loss of power at the pump station. The installation of monitoring devices can be helpful in identifying potential issues, but if the sewage spills are already occurring in the streets, adding more housing units to the area could exacerbate the problem. It certainly raises concerns about the city's priorities and how it balances the needs of current residents with the demands of developers. While it is important to address the affordable housing crisis, it shouldn't be at the expense of the safety and well-being of the existing community. It is crucial for the city to take a holistic approach to development that considers the long-term impacts of the environment, infrastructure, and residents.
The manhole monitoring device, where you say we have some now. What locations are they?
We have one on 131st Street in Griffin Boulevard.
Okay.
We have one on 125th Street in Northeast 16th Avenue, that area there. And we have one more, I believe it's, I'll have to confirm, but I believe it's on 5th Avenue in 141st Street.
Right. So you're saying that this device would alert you to make sure that there's not a sewage spill, right?
Yes,
But
once
there was
the-
just, based on what you're saying, the location, there was just one on Third Court in that area. So what happened? Why weren't we able to?
There's one on Griffin Boulevard, and by the time you get the alert, you still have to mobilize and make it to the location. So depending on how quickly it's backing up, if it's what we call it peak time, when there are a lot of people at home, there's more flow going into the sewer main, so you have less time to react. So depending on when we get the alert, and what the conditions, what's going on, that determines how much time you have to react to address the alert.
Okay, sir. The sewage comes from the west that you're talking about putting a whole new community. And all that sewage comes towards the east, which runs right past my house. And just let the electricity go out like it was yesterday. And there is sewage everywhere.